Ongoing fears, mystery over Queen's final snub for Harry and Meghan exposed. This time last year, the House of Windsor knew that their matriarch was not long for this world. So why didn't the Sussexes pay one final visit? As the royals gather at Balmoral for the first time since the death of Her late Majesty, one important question about the Sussexes remains. I think we can say for sure that King Charles has to be the only person in the whole world whose summer holiday begins with his ceremonial presentation to a Shetland pony. Well, technically speaking, though, it may be the other way around. For those obsessive royal types, this week was an important milestone. His Majesty received his first official welcome by the Royal Regiment of Scotland as he began his Balmoral getaway. Which meant that there was some poor guy who had to go and fetch the regiment's mascot and make sure the pony's coat was absolutely beautiful for his annual moment in the glare of the media. So this year's big trip has started, with the royal family having put their out of office on right now, as they all get together in the far north. While this holiday season will have its lighthearted moments, it's also going to be tinged with poignancy. It's going to be the first such gathering since Her late Majesty passed away last year at Balmoral. Let's assume there's going to be a few misty-eyed evenings involving some teary HRHs and probably a few glasses of whiskey as well. Let's go back to those final weeks, that final holiday of the late Queen's, because there is one little detail that we need to discuss again, that Harry and Meghan and their two suspicious children, Archie and Lilibet, didn't come to visit. From October of 2021, when Buckingham Palace began cancelling the late Queen's events, and she secretly even spent a night in the hospital, there had been worries about her health. Last year, friend of Queen Camilla and broadcaster Giles Brandreth revealed that at some point in her final years, the late Queen was diagnosed with a form of bone marrow cancer, and so she, quote, always knew that her remaining time was limited. So this means that this time last year, the House of Windsor knew that the Queen was not going to be around for long. Now, were they feeling some feelings? Absolutely. The question here is, though, considering this information about Her late Majesty's failing health, why didn't Harry and Meghan show up to visit her in Scotland? Because supposedly they had so much respect for the late Queen that they named their little girl after her, a move that was certainly controversial and resulted in some lawyers' letters flying around the place in London. There was a lot of debate about whether or not Her late Majesty had approved of this. Even so, we assume that we understood what Harry and Meghan meant by this gesture, that even though they did move to California to share their truth and make their own vegan lattes without being bothered by the people at Buckingham Palace, they still wanted to pay homage to their beloved Queen. And then when they did that Oprah Winfrey interview, Harry told Oprah, I have a deep respect for her. She's my colonel-in-chief, right? She always will be. Okay, well, against this backdrop of firm feelings and all that respect, the confusing thing still is, why didn't they show up at Balmoral? Why didn't they take the legendary Queen's two youngest great-grandchildren to see her? Because it's not like they were too far away. Meghan and Harry had already made the trip to the UK in late May, and they took Archie and Lilibet with them when they came back for the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. They even brought their own high chair with them using private jet, if we can believe the Daily Mail's pap shots. So for Meghan and Harry, quick international trips were certainly possible. They had also booked in a 5-day charity tour back in Europe for the summer, so that meant they would be very close to the late Queen. So again, why couldn't they just add on a day or two to go see her? Well, at the time, the Mirror's royal editor, Russell Myers, had said that, quote, Prince Charles did indeed invite them to stay with him at Balmoral with the Queen, but so far they have refused, so they will be skipping a meeting with the Queen, which is quite sad, to be honest. It's also important to remember here that last summer, while Montecito-London relations were not very good, considering what we know now, thanks to Harry's tell-all book, that he and his brother William had had a complete falling out, things were not as bad as they are now. Back then, the royal family and the world at large were still mostly in the dark about what myriad bombshells Harry and Meghan were going to be dropping through a 6-part docuseries and Spare. Not only were things nowhere near as broken as they are now, but let's think about the logistics as well. It's not like Balmoral is some kind of 4-bedroom cottage rented for a fraught week of bathroom sharing. Now, the main house has a reported 52 bedrooms, and there are who knows how many cottages on the estate. For instance, Prince Andrew is staying at Craigowen Lodge right now. I'm sure he's making do with its 7 bedrooms and private elevator. The point I'm trying to make is this: if Harry and Meghan really had wanted to spend some time with Harry's grandmother, they could have gone. And it's not like they would have gotten anywhere close to William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales. The late Queen was at Balmoral from August 8th until she passed away exactly 1 month later, with various members of the family, like the Wales family, only visiting for much shorter bits of time. So that means there could have certainly been a way for Meghan and Harry to avoid the Waleses and vice versa. The point I'm trying to make is the timing and the accommodation situation seem like they would have been completely navigable if Meghan and Harry really wanted to visit. Let's think about, too, that even until she passed away, the late Queen was reportedly forever optimistic that the relationship between the royal family and Meghan and Harry could be repaired. Earlier this month, a close figure told the Daily Mail's Richard Kay that Her Majesty never stopped hoping there would be some kind of reconciliation, and that the couple would return to the fold one day. I mean, even now, after everything we have seen gone down in the last year, Harry and Meghan's open invitation to join family gatherings hasn't exactly been rescinded. And that's according to the Mail's royal editor, Rebecca English, although she also goes on to say it is certainly not expected to be accepted. And we're not trying to claim that Harry wasn't devoted to his grandmother, but one thing I've never really understood is why they couldn't wait to sit down with Oprah. Why couldn't Harry wait just a little bit to write that memoir? And why couldn't they wait to make that multi-part docu-series complaining about how horrible the family is until after the Queen passed away? So Spare and the global event that was Harry and Meghan may not have actually been released this time last year, but the deals had been announced already. Earlier this year, friends of Her Late Majesty spoke with the Telegraph, and one revealed that Meghan and Harry's repeated criticism of the royal family, quote, had an impact on the Queen's health in her final year. As one friend explained, she had lost Prince Philip, and then the constant ambushing of the royal family by a much-loved grandson did take its toll. The paper also reported that another well-placed source had absolutely no doubt that the allegations made by the Sussexes affected the late Queen's health. So the fascinating thing to consider here is, what if Harry and Meghan had gone up to Balmoral? Would things stand where they do now? Earlier this year, the Times revealed that Harry had wanted to stop Spare after the family's Jubilee visit. A publishing source involved with the book told the paper the book was all ready to go, but visiting his grandmother, he had second thoughts. Just after Harry's last trip to London, the boss walked in and said he's pulled it, he doesn't want to do it. At some point, Harry clearly changed his mind, again. But just imagine if that book had been canceled. Would things seem so absolutely broken right now between Harry and Charles and William? And what is the biggest disappointment in all this mess, and Harry and Meghan not taking up what may have been their final chance to stay at Balmoral? Well, it means the world has been denied ever seeing Archie and Lilibet sitting on top of some Shetland ponies learning to ride a horse. This is, after all, the royal family we're talking about. It's always going to come right back to horses. And you, what do you think about this issue? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments. If you think my video is useful, don't be afraid to like and share with your friends and relatives who need it anytime you want.
And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.